Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Amazon Gold Standard Podcast. I'm Robert Pollock. We have Alex Hitchon. Both of us are from Breetly, where we help sellers navigate the Amazon jungle. We've managed over $500 million in Amazon sales and around annually averaging, what would you say, Alex? 12 million last year in advertising spend.
Yep.
So there's a whole bunch of budgets that we handle and make sure that you get the low ACOS and tacos. But today, let's focus. We don't need any intros or outros. We got Lem from Helium10. He's back on the podcast, and we want to hear more about the tool. I think today we're going to be getting into Cerebro with Lem. So, Lem, if you want to give a background, people may know you already, but, kick it off. Do what you do best.
So thank you for having me back. I'm glad to be here. It was always a good time to talk to you guys. I'm Lem Turner from Helium10, brand evangelist over there at Helium10. So my role really is just to kind of help people understand how to utilize all of our 20 plus tools, understand how to maximize the effectiveness of those tools and really see how they can apply it to their business, whether they're a beginner or a veteran. And so we're going to go through Cerebro today, which is our reverse ASIN lookup tool. So you're essentially using a product to find highly relevant keywords that are you could use for your listing, advertising, etc. And we're going to go from beginner strategies to more advanced strategies, really going through all the ins and outs of Cerebro, which is one of our most popular tools out there at Helium10.
So I know that we use it all the time. Alex sleeps about the Cerebro. He's got Cerebro in his cerebrum all the time.
Yeah, I've got Cerebro in my brain.
Yeah, so by all means, let's get into these little details that I'm sure we're going to cover, all these fine, juicy morsels of info that I and Alex learned a bit on the last call, even with just the intro. Seems like there were new tools that are always being added. So,
and there's some new features that came out since we've last talked. So I'm going to really get into those. So it'll be fun to show those as well. All right.
So
Evan,
I'll minimize myself on the side. And now we got the big screen for your Cerebro.
All right, cool. So Cerebro, like I said, is a reverse ASIN lookup tool. So what we're going to do right here, we're going to use one of these example ASINs right here. And we're going to click that into there and we're going to search it. And what it's going to do is try to find top performing keywords. But what it's going to show us is going to show us a whole ton of keywords here, right? So this product right here, it is a dog, or I think it's a dog toy. Yeah, it's a stuffed animal for a duck, or duck stuffed animal for a dog, right? A dog chew toy. So that's what we're looking at right here. But we see we have a whole ton of keywords here. We have over 11,000 keywords right there, right? So here's the specific keyword distribution that we have. Out of these 11,000 keywords, it's distributed between sponsored, organic, and Amazon recommended keywords. So organic keywords are just keywords that this listing is naturally showing up for on Amazon within search results and is being triggered based on Amazon's algorithm. Sponsored is where that's kind of an interesting tactic that those could use if they're looking for, hey, let's say I'm selling another dog stuffed animal that's also a duck thing, but I want to see what are the keywords that this specific ASIN is showing up for in ads. I can try to see, okay, I can just choose the match type for sponsored right here. And it's going to show me all the keywords that they're showing up for within ads. Now, it's not going to show me very specific things such as, oh, this is their specific bid, or they're showing up for an exact match here or a broad match there, right? But you can kind of get an inkling of, all right, if they're sponsored rank here, because that's also something else that this tracks, is sponsored rank. If I'm looking at those that have the highest sponsored rank, I'm going to get a good assumption that, hey, if they're number one, that they have the top sponsored position for these keywords, it's safe to assume that they are going after this in an exact match, right? Because they're not going to necessarily, or it's safe to assume that they're going after an exact match, or they have some sort of top of search multiplier for it. because it's clearly they're getting the very first positioning in sponsor rank. So Amazon's providing them with that placement. So that's an interesting strategy that people do use for Cerebro from an advertising perspective of trying to find their competitors' top keywords or top keywords from an advertising perspective. Whether it works for the competitors or not, it's clear to us that we can see that this specific product is using these keywords, and these keywords do make up probably do contribute the majority of their PPC sales for that product. So that's an interesting tactic that we can take with sponsored keywords here.
Those sponsored keywords, it might not necessarily be an exact or a phrase that's listed on their account. It just could be one word in their broad is linking them to that phrase.
Yes, exactly. And so like that's not like all these, but that's why we can kind of assume with those that have a high sponsored rank that either they're getting awarded that number one placement either due to a good positive conversion rate because Amazon's going to give them that placement, they have good conversion rate, or if their bids are so high that Amazon's going to award them that placement based on their bids. So either or is really informative, but it gives you a good idea of, hey, if this is a product that I'm going to launch up, I'm doing competitor research. This gives me a good start as to what are the keywords that these other competitors are advertising on that I could also be advertising on. Then we also have an other type of keyword, which is, I would say, is a underrated keyword, which is Amazon recommended. And now this isn't necessarily, there's confusion here. It's not necessarily keywords that you show up for. You get like the Amazon choice badge. That's not what this is. What this is specifically is what Amazon's recommends based on this product right here that we have showed up for. Amazon is recommending that we advertise for on this listing. So it's taking the information from our listings, taking the information of the keywords that this specific product is indexed for, and it's going to show us all the keywords that Amazon believes we should be advertising for.
So these keywords are like the ones that under the ads maybe show recommended keywords that Amazon recommends to you.
Yeah.
Are these keywords that you find here, those are those keywords?
Yes. And internally Amazon has like a ranking system of like 1 through 999 or whatever based on their own internal algorithm of how relevant a keyword is and how much they think you should advertise for, which is where this Amazon recommended rank comes in right here. So it's obviously like super high numbers, but we just go based off the highest numbers or the best ranks. These are keywords that Amazon thinks that you should be advertising for. Now, we haven't put any search volume modifiers on it or anything like that. We're just purely looking at the keyword distribution here. But just looking at the keyword distribution, you can kind of get an idea of, okay, these are highly relevant keywords, regardless of the search volume or not. It's highly relevant to this specific pet toy of dog toy, no stuffing, stuffed duck dog, stuffed plush toy, or duck toy dog. You can kind of get an idea of it. And this can also serve as a way for you to get an idea of, okay, Amazon's algorithm is detecting that these are keywords that maybe this product should be targeting for. Might be an opportunity for me to find new keywords, right? And so this is where I use this for specifically trying to find new keyword ideas if I feel like my current advertising efforts aren't being exploratory enough, or if I feel like I'm wasting too much money with auto or broad, but I also don't want to not try to find new keywords. I might try looking at some of these other keywords that Amazon has recommended, but maybe put them in a phrase so that way they're a little bit more specific, but I can still, get very outside of my range.
Lem, I'm curious what number you would kind of consider as a good keyword to add into your campaigns. Like, for example, anything below 100, anything below 50, like what would you say as a threshold there?
There's not necessarily a threshold. I would probably because there's no search volume modifier here, I'd probably would put like a minimum search volume of like 300 to 500, depending on your category. Here, we'll just do 300 for a minimum.
I mean, like a minimum for the Amazon recommended rank.
Yeah, I know that. But when you do that, like when you put in the search volume, you see it like definitely jumps from like 2 at one page to all the way like down here to like 219. So it's not necessarily Amazon recommended rank I'm going off of, but more so I'm looking at probably like the top 20 to 25 here, regardless of if it's like the Amazon recommended rank. It's like it starts at the top from 400 down. I'm still looking at the top 25, wherever the search results show me, and seeing if where I can go from there.
So I guess you're saying you should look at this as these are the 25 keywords that Amazon most recommends for us to advertise under for this product.
Exactly.
But this is based only off of the Amazon recommended option.
Yeah. This is solely just Amazon recommended. And so, like I said, this is where if I'm looking for new keyword opportunities, but I don't want to necessarily wait like a week or 2 weeks for auto to like do its job, or to even like if I'm limited on budget, if I don't want to like pour hundreds of dollars in auto to like really let it go, this might be a good tactic to use for finding new keyword opportunities that I can pursue from a PPC perspective based on using Amazon's internal algorithm and what they provide to us.
From other people's listings, of course.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm
Is
sure.
there ever a time when you wouldn't recommend looking at other people's listings? I mean, obviously, if it's a bad listing, don't look at it. But are there times when, I mean, I guess if you have a new product that there's not much out there on the market, you have to look and see. But you always want to look at the top competitor listings. You always want to look at their keywords. Is there like a detriment or something to be careful of when you're looking at competing listings?
That's a good question.
Data?
I think it's making sure that your product actually is very similar to their product, or if you are understanding what is their unique selling proposition, of like what's the main thing that they're trying to resolve. Does it match what your unique selling proposition is? Or maybe is their unique selling proposition like this is, you can hang something of 40 pounds on a wall, right? But let's say they have a bunch of reviews that say this doesn't hang 40 pounds on a wall. This does not do that. But you have a product that does hang something that's 40 pounds on a wall. That's where I would consider like maybe even though they're marketing towards that, if they're not actually accomplishing that, then you're going to want to, I wouldn't give it so much weight versus a product that actually does accomplish what your also unique selling proposition would be.
Got you. Okay, good.
And so now to get into, I won't leave you guys in suspense too long. Some of the new features that we have as Cerebro. And I think it'll be interesting. And I think, Robert, I would not be bothered if you gave yourself a little credit on this, even though I think you got some psychic abilities because you asked about this in our first podcast. But we're going to get into one-click filters. I know you talked about that, Robert. I'm like, why isn't there just a button I can click that just gives me the top keywords? Well, I couldn't necessarily spill the beans then, but now I can. Is that we do have that available now. So but the only way to trigger it is if you're looking at several competitors. So we're going to click on Get Competitors, and we're just going to click on 5 random competitors that Helium10 thinks this is a competitor. It gets this information just based off of other products that rank highly for the same keywords that this specific product is ranking for. So that's where that competitor information comes from. But we're going to add that into our Cerebro. And we're going to click on Get Keywords. And so we'll let that load. And we have 2 different one-click filters, which they both have its pros and cons, and they're pretty interesting. But the first one we'll get into is top keywords. Let's let this load. So it always gets a little slow.
I'm afraid to ask, but I mean, the data that you guys must have saved in whatever servers you have, the amount of data is tremendous.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if they have some sort of like massive like storage of a lockbox of data somewhere that not even I know about.
Yeah, and like a missile silo below the ground, saved. Yeah.
I can neither confirm
Next to
nor deny that.
Next to where the crypto whales keep all of their. Okay, go for it. Looks like we loaded.
So here we see like we got 5 competitors that seem like they're all within like the dog toy market, right? We have around like 26,000 keywords right here. So these buttons, what this meant to do, of course, like myself and more like experienced Helium10 users, they're going to be able to like go through all the filters, type in whatever it is, and like find their information. But what if you still want to be able to utilize Cerebro, utilize some of our top tools, but maybe sometimes you just don't have the time to like learn how to use all the filters and learn what you don't need to know versus what you do need to know. And this is where we have our buttons for top keywords and opportunity keywords here. And so top keywords is just going to show you the top keywords that these competitors are doing well for and that have substantial search volume. So if we just click on top keywords, they'll go from around 26,000 keywords to probably around a couple hundred, I would think. 161 keywords. So that's really automatic of showing us right away what are the top keywords for these listings. And while, of course, we can't put in 161 keywords into our listing, it still gives you a significant head start from going from 26,000 keywords all the way to 160-ish keywords, right? And then, of course, we're going to get you 90% of the way there, but then the additional 10% is just understanding context of, all right, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what's cool about that is that we don't have anything inputted in the filters here, or you can see that we did not put that into the filters. The system put it in the filters here. So it's using 500 search volume as a minimum. It's giving us a competitor rank average of between 1 and 40, meaning that the average of the organic rank for out of our 5 competitors that's showing up with 4 specific keywords is at least 40 or higher. So that's like all of page 1 and top of page every second page, essentially. Since there's usually around 30 organic positionings on each page. And we're going to do a minimum of 2 competitors are ranking for it. So there's sometimes there's keywords that one competitor may not be indexed for, but the other 4 are. This is going to ensure that for keywords that at least 2 of our competitors are indexed for, we want the average to be at least 40 or below in terms of organic rank. So all of page 1 and top of page 2, and that they have at least 500 search volume. And that's what indicates the top keywords in this scenario.
And we're saying 2 because I'm assuming if only one person, it might be that one listing might be too niche of a product and no one else is ranking for those words.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't waste your time.
Yeah, exactly. Because like it's like exactly what you said of like sometimes there's just one product that like has a random keyword or it's like a brand name keyword, right? We don't want to see somebody showing up for their own brand name. Of course, they're going to do well or should do well for their own brand name, but the other competitors won't. But if there's 3 competitors are all doing really well for the same brand name or if a competitor brand name, then that might show you, okay, for whatever reason, they're able to take away market share from this competitor's brand name search. So that might be something I can search, or even better, even a category keyword as well.
And then what's the difference between the top keywords and the opportunity?
So the difference between the top keywords is, top keywords is just showing you straight solely about search volume and those that these competitors rank on the pages 1 to 2 on, right? Versus the opportunity keywords, that's going to show you keywords where you have an opportunity to rank for. So meaning that you can, if you're doing, and this is specifically going to be for product launches, if you're trying to immediately try to stand out from your competitors, this is where you'd want to click on. So it's going to take into account the competitors rank of it, as well as search volume and the ability to rank for the specific keyword, which also takes into account things such as title density, which I think we went over before, but title density of just like, is the amount of products on page 1 that has a specific keyword showing up in search results in the title, because that's what gives you the biggest organic signal to Amazon that, hey, I'm very relevant for this keyword. So it takes all those things into account. But you see here, we come down to 97 keywords. And what this is essentially showing us is that, hey, these are keywords that out of these 5 competitors that we have here, it's still relevant to their product, but these competitors aren't necessarily doing too hot for these competitors or for these keywords, right? You can see that the competitor rank average is actually around like pages like 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But they're still relevant keywords. So it's up to us to then determine the context of, all right, out of these keywords that my competitors currently are not doing well on, is there an opportunity for me to kind of take advantage of these keywords that my competitors aren't doing well in order for me to capitalize within this market share? So that's the idea behind it.
So this view that you have right now, you switched over to the competitor keywords, not the top. This is the competitor. We switched from top to competitor opportunity. Sorry.
Yeah. We switched from top to
opportunity. So it went from 161 down to 97 when you switched over. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay. So these are completely different keywords than the previous list that were okay, and that's why it's only 90, and that's why it's showing 171.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I guess let's flip it backwards on its head. Is in regards to competitor rank average of 171, 160. How do I see the competitor ranks of 1 and 2 and 3? And then what are the keywords that the competitors are doing really well on? I guess I would have to find those ASINs and do that search for those ASINs.
Or if you're trying to find the competitors where like the keywords that where competitors are doing the most well on, that would be back in our top keywords section. But keep in mind that if all your competitors are doing really well for this keyword, there's less likelihood that you will immediately be able to make an impact on those keywords from the perspective of a product launch without having to overinvest in capital of advertising or things of that nature. So this is more so for immediate impact for a product launch. How can I rank on keywords right away versus top keywords? It's just overall, what are the top keywords in this niche?
Interesting. Very interesting. What's also interesting is, I don't know if it's just me, but Lem, you're frozen in your picture.
I know. I do see that. I noticed that I was frozen. I don't know what happened. Maybe if I turn off my camera.
It's a good shot. It's a good shot. I don't know. Did you ever get like, hey, can I get your autograph, Russell Wilson?
No.
No?
No, I don't. Can't say I get that too often.
Clean shaven, flat on the head on the sides, clean, nice. Yeah, okay. But
I appreciate it.
if you're frozen, I don't know how to unfreeze you.
Yeah.
Maybe something's going to happen with the podcast. But
yeah.
I guess let's keep going. I hear you when we got your screen and your screen's moving.
Yeah.
So that's the important part. We need to see the goods. We're going to be paying for the goods.
One thing I do definitely want to note here is that Helium10, they will take in all this information and they'll give it a competitor performance score here based on how well it does for the keyword there from the perspective of ranking for it. So we'll give it a score here. So that way you're not, because if you're looking at, where is it? The position rank here, these are a lot of numbers, but people are generally able to understand like 2 out of 10, 8 out of 10, you know the difference between an 8 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10 from like a grading scale. So what these keywords are, in the big filter is here, is that it's going to have a competitor score or performance of max of 5 versus the top keywords. Like if we go to our top keywords real quick, you're going to see that these are keywords that we're looking at a competitor performance score of 10 out of 10 out of 10. So these are truly from all areas that's concerned to Helium10. They do really well for these keywords here.
Right. So I guess on the opportunities page, that was 1.6, that had that score of 1.6.
Yeah.
If we were to take that same phrase, that same term, that keyword, search that keyword in a different tool, and then it would show us what the top sellers are, the top ASINs for that specific keyword.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there is a possibility that it might not even be a dog chew toy. I mean, I guess it all depends on the search term. But yeah, I'm interested in finding out, like, if you got 1.6 out of 10 on that term that has an opportunity.
Yeah.
Somebody else is claiming that opportunity. I'm sure someone else has that number one ranked spot and is scoring 10 out of 10 for that term.
Yeah, absolutely. And because like this competitor performance score is just judging just these 5 ASINs that we have inputted up here. It's solely just that.
Right.
But if we were to search this, like chew toys for aggressive chewers, large breed, if we were to search this, it's what it all is showing you or telling you is that these 5 ASINs are not going to show up in the top for that. But it's still a relevant keyword to your niche, so it might be worth looking at to see if it's relevant enough for you to kind of take advantage of from a PPC perspective and integrate it into your listing if it makes sense.
Yeah, looking at these tough toy, medium, aggressive chew toys, large breeds. I mean, this chew toy is probably for a smaller breed that's not such an aggressive chewer.
Yeah.
Now, so I mean, definitely, you always have to look at it from both angles and regards. Okay, for that keyword, who were the top people, the top ASINs selling the products that are linked back to the keyword versus on the flip side, what are the top keywords in that category, subcategory, or I guess taking the top producing ASINs within the category and seeing where they produce. So yeah, you gotta look everywhere, many angles. I see you, Lem. You're trying to get this unfrozen.
I know. I am. It's frozen. It's frozen on my end. I have like a camera software. It's frozen on that end too. So at least the positive side is that it's not the platform that we're on. It's my fault.
Oh, okay. Well, it takes a big man to admit fault.
But yeah, so that's really like the way we can really, and you can look at this from, all right, based on all of these competitors, how can I differentiate from a keyword perspective? You can see clearly here that the differentiation factor here is getting a toy that's meant for aggressive chewers here. Like that's probably one of the most common words that we see in the word frequency here is chewers and aggressive, indestructible. Like that's a way to differentiate versus I imagine if we look at top toys or in top keywords, we're probably going to see words like plush, soft,
squeaky,
plus soft, small. So we still see aggressive, but it's not like one of the very top ones. So you kind of get a different idea. That's stuffing. So you kind of get a different idea of it. So it could also be utilized as a way to try to find a way to differentiate your product through keyword research.
I like it. Yeah, people at home, you got to really do your homework. It's getting harder and harder, so much harder to sell on Amazon. You really have to, and money is getting so much harder to come by. There's a lot of competition out there. Things are tight. So you really got to be careful with what you build your listings with, the keywords. You can't put non-relevant keywords because then you'll end up spending a lot in these auto campaigns and it's going to be a tremendous waste of your money.
Yeah.
Definitely be careful. And it's one of the things that we do also. We do keyword and listing optimization based off relevant keyword, and we use a whole bunch of different tools that Helium sells, and we love Helium. By all means, everyone, get in touch if you want someone to fix your listings and only use relevant keywords, and then you can even use us to help you with your ad campaigns. Then you start ranking on those keywords. Okay. What else do we got here? I know we're around 28 minutes in. I want to keep this one short. I hate long podcasts.
Oh, you're good. So one thing I did want to mention, which definitely gets a lot of confusion, is back when we could do, or I guess I should ask, are you guys familiar with the concept of search, find, buy?
Yes, yeah. When you have somebody like look something up for a specific keyword, scroll to page 5 or 6 or whatever, and then buy the product, basically, right?
Yeah. So like this was like you got it exactly right. This was a very popular technique to try to rank for a keyword very quickly, but that's since been Amazon has made it very clear that's against Amazon's terms of service, so nobody should be doing it anymore just because it is against Amazon's terms of service. But going back to what I was talking about, or I want to talk about here, is CPR, which this was a number that Helium10 worked with at the time, the top platform for search, find, buy initiatives, which was AZ Rank. We worked with them and their software internally to try to figure out what is the exact number of units that you would need to give away over a period of like about a week in order to get to the top half of page one. Now, of course, like I said, you can't necessarily do that anymore. So this is not meant to necessarily be used as an idea of, all right, this is how many units I need to give away, but it can give you an idea of how many sales do I generally need to make for a keyword when I do a product launch in order to rank for a specific keyword on the top half of page one. And it also gives you a good measure of how easy is it to rank for a specific product. So if we go to, we're still looking at the dog squeaky toy. If I'm looking at the top search volume keyword, the highest search volume keyword possible is dog toys right here. It's around 430,000 search volume. That's pretty high. The CPR here is 539. That's how many sales you'd have to get generally. It's not exact, but generally you'd have to get around that range to rank on the top half of page one for dog toys, right?
Per day, Lem, or
how long of a time?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same.
You'd have to make around 530 or 540 sales over about a week or so. It's 8 days, but it's usually about a week is around that range. So that's how many sales you'd have to make. So from a daily perspective, it's 54 divided by, or 540 divided by 7.
So 7 or 8?
Either way, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like around 67. I just pulled up my calculator.
So you'd have to make like around like 60-ish sales a day specifically on the keyword dog toys. You'd have to convert on the keyword dog toys to get the top half of page one. But I like to look at it of not necessarily to actually try to achieve that, but just to kind of get an idea of how easy is it to rank for a specific keyword. And this is assuming that you are putting this keyword in your title, not that you're just putting it in your content, but specifically you're putting it in your title, and you're going to try to rank for it. Because like we said, that's the biggest signal to send to Amazon from an organic perspective that you're highly relevant for that keyword.
Lem, I had a quick question for you. Is this assuming that you're putting all of the words in your title, like you might have dog and then a bunch of other words and toys? Or is it assuming you're putting that exact phrase somewhere in your title? Dog toys.
That's a great question. It has to be an exact match wording in your title. So it can't say dog, then yada, yada, yada toys. It has to say dog toys. Or like even for this long tail keyword, it has to say dog toys for aggressive chewers. So it has to be that word in exact form in your title.
Got it. Because Amazon weighs it much heavier when you put it in that exact form versus splitting it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this search volume is also over an 8-day period, or no?
The what? Oh, the search volume is over a 30-day period, so it's on a monthly basis. But what I like to do is I like to look at this of like, okay, if I'm really trying to go after a handful of keywords, then if I want to see those that are doing like at least, let's say 1,000 search volume, I'll apply that as minimum, but don't necessarily have that high of a CPR or the CPR is 0, I can get an idea of, okay, these are keywords that I do have a very good chance of ranking for on page one. And usually the biggest indicator of that is that it doesn't have there's no products on page one that have this exact keyword in their title. So in this case, it's dog supplies, dog toys for large dogs, dog treat toys, dog toys squeaky. You think they seem kind of like common sense keywords, but you'd be surprised. But nobody has it in their title. What were you saying, Alex?
Yeah, I was just saying that looks really surprising to me. I mean, 25,000 is a decent amount of search volume, and nobody has it in their title for these kind of dog squeaky toys, and it's saying you'd need just kind of one sale over those 8 days if you had it in your title to start ranking here.
Yeah,
it's at 0 for the CPR. I mean, that seems.
Yeah, I know. It seems like almost unlikely, right? But
it almost seems like too good to be true. I mean, 25,000 is a decent amount of search volume. I'd be pretty happy to rank.
Yeah, exactly. So we're searching dog supplies like here. This is page one of dog supplies, And we can even use our X-ray to see, all right, we're going to analyze page 1 results here. And we can do, let's do like a product title search. We can filter based on a product title. So I have a product title search right here. So dog supplies. Apply the filters. I got nothing that shows up on page 1 with the keyword dog supplies in its filter.
That's mind blown. Wait a minute. Something's got to be wrong. Something's got to be wrong, Lem. Come on.
Yeah, dog supplies isn't even like a long tail type of keyword, Rob. It's like really short tail. You'd think there's hundreds of people using that.
But wait a minute. When we were looking in the results on Cerebro, is that based off of only those 5 ASINs that were added, or no?
No. So this is just showing us this specific ASIN right here. And all it's showing us here is that this keyword is it is relevant for this key. It's relevant for dog supplies, and that it's indexed.
Okay.
It's indexed on. It has organic rank positioning of 82. So what, third? It's on the 3rd page. But based on 0 CPR, we know immediately that it wouldn't be hard to rank on page 1 initially for this keyword. Now, does 0 CPR, does that mean that once you rank, you can stay on page 1? No, not necessarily. You're still going to have to get some sales eventually for Amazon's algorithm to justify keeping you there. But in the context of a product launch, if you have that in your keyword, because since Amazon's algorithm doesn't know necessarily where to rank you, and the honeymoon period is in the first 30-ish days, where Amazon does give you more leeway in terms of organic rank, it is highly likely that you will be able to rank in the top half of page 1 for dog supplies if you have it in your title. And for whatever reason, all these products that do exceedingly well for the keyword dog supplies from an organic perspective don't have it in their title. So that's
crazy, ridiculous.
Yeah. So you could see how you could apply that towards other industries as well.
Yeah, Alex, let's hop on this, man. What is there something to watch out for? Is there something to be careful? Is there maybe a reason why dog supplies is not coming up? Is there like something that we should be thinking about in the background while we're doing this search?
I think for the most part, you're fine for the majority of these keywords. There is definitely some brand name keywords. So if I'm a competitor of Kong, that's a brand name.
Yeah. I'm
sure Kong does a really great job of whenever somebody puts their brand name in their keyword, they go after them from a copyright or trademark perspective. So that's the only thing I would be concerned of, is making sure that you're not accidentally putting competitor brand names into your own title. Because again, that's the purpose of that measurement, is that you're going to put it in your title, which is why we also see 0 title density. That kind of aligns with it. But that's the only thing I'd be concerned about, is either that or for keywords that are restricted, like anything like CBD related, probably couldn't put that in there. Or like antimicrobial, like things that might get you pesticide flagged or anything like that. But for the most part, you have keywords that are pretty simple, but sometimes they're so broad that people just don't know what they don't know, right? And that's the beauty of Helium10, is that it allows you to uncover these really easy, low-hanging fruit that you could capitalize on if you wanted to.
Can you give me some pointers or tips or whatever it might be internally that you have in your head in regards to like title construction? Obviously, I think from what we're seeing here is obviously the weight of your titles is by far strongest compared to your titles, bullet points, maybe even search terms.
Yeah.
What would you say about the weight of the different contributions in regards to getting indexed? I guess let's start with that question.
Yeah, that's a really great question. From the title, we know is the biggest signal you can send to Amazon in terms of how relevant you are. So I always reserve my highest search volume keywords for my title, but I would much rather have and this is all in the context of your industry, right? If your high search volume keyword is at 8,000 versus if it's, in this case, a high search volume is like 90,000, right? So it's all context, but I will always prefer to have a medium search volume but low title density keyword in my title versus a high search volume and high title density keyword in my title, only because I really want to reserve opportunities to rank for specific products or for specific keywords in my title for those that have medium to medium high search volume and low title density. You're on mute there, Robert, I think.
Yes, you want to be able to grow the listing from
Yes.
the beginning instead of starting out with crazy competition and you're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah, of course. Because really the name of the game when you first launch, like you may have like, all right, these are going to be ideally my main keywords a year from now, but I cannot go after them on day one. I don't have enough strength. I don't have enough market share to go after them. So you got to go like snowball effect. You can't go after the whole thing. You got to start small and build your way up to your main keywords. So that's kind of the way I look at it from a title perspective.
So Lem, I was just curious, could you give us like a kind of rule of thumb what you'd consider low title density?
Low title density, I would consider 10 or less. So title density, if we were to look at like the very highest here, you're going to see like in like the 46, and this is in like 46 range. So I would consider low title density. And this is again, arbitrary based on my own thoughts, but it's probably around 10 or less is a good number of low. 10 to 15 is where I consider that to be medium title density. Because that's still like the first half of page one, but then 15 and on, I consider that to be on the higher end of title density, and I try my best not to put those in my listing or in the title at least. If of course sometimes it's inevitable just due to the nature of the keywords, sometimes, but I try my best not to.
And just for clarity purposes, title density from 0 to 15. Well, anything below 10 is low to 15 is medium. That's on the placement of the page, or can you explain the title density again?
Yeah, title density is the number of page one products with that search keyword in their title. So that's where and not all search results or not all keywords give you around like 40 placements on a first results, just due to sometimes there's, Amazon's recommended or editorial things or PPC, it's kind of random based on the keyword you have, but generally there's going to be around 30 to 40 positionings on a page in search results. And so that's why I use 10 as low, just because that guarantees you're in the first like third to one half of the list or of that search result for that keyword, or that you can crack the top half of that page, just because there's only so many keyword or products that have that keyword in their title.
Right. Okay, and the CPR is there. It's relatively low compared to the numbers we were looking at before.
Yeah.
And the reason you were saying that, the reason why, because if there's 30 some odd, between 30 and 40 on page one, and then, a 40 is spill over into page two. I see some here that are over the number 40. So what would be the reason the numbers would be beyond page one results?
So yeah, that's a good question. So I believe it's purely, I think it's because it's taking in like unique results where like there's like a scrollable portion. Sometimes there's a scrollable portion where you can like go left to right on page one. And I think it's taking in that information. Now I'm not completely sure. So let's see what it has. So like it comes with, like we have that Amazon choice here that kind of like shows you there. But no, that's a good question, and I honestly am not entirely sure. But based on how Helium10 defines title density, it is at least supposed to be only based on page one products.
Okay, so I mean, at least you gave an answer that way of maybe. I love asking those hard questions.
No, that's a good one.
But hey, when I ask those questions, right, you come out with new features of the platform.
Yeah, exactly. Such as top keywords and opportunity keywords.
Yeah, nice. I had a hand in Helium's build and design. Nice.
There you go.
Okay, so yeah, we're like I was saying. Now we're running at the 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
So, is there any other nice tools and tips in here, or did we cover the beyond the basics? And are you comfortable in letting us off here, or is the train still moving?
No, I feel comfortable because we went over a good amount in our initial overview in the first time I was on through Cerebro. So yeah, I feel comfortable, but I'm sure if there's any new features that I just think you guys absolutely need to know, I'll for sure be in contact. But we mostly went through some of the more beginner and advanced strategies in Cerebro, and yeah, I feel good about that. And anybody who listens to this is going to get a ton of value out of being able to use Cerebro from there. So I'm sure I gave more than I even needed to in this episode.
Thank God for the screen shares. All right, Lem, it's been awesome having you on. We're going to get you in the office. Maybe we can get you on during a pizza day or something. You can come in. Where are you based? Where are you located?
I am in Indianapolis, so I'm in the Midwest.
Indianapolis. All right, your Pacers. You got to trade me. You got to trade me like a Miles Turner.
Oh, please!
I need someone for my New York Knicks.
But Miles Turner is the only one we do have that's anything relevant. So we're just barely scrounging on by with him.
Malcolm Brogdon, baby. Give me the point guard. Give me all your assets. All right, Lem, it's been awesome having you on. Thanks for the banter. This is Robert Alex from the Amazon Gold Standard Podcast. I appreciate you having you coming on, Lem. Anybody else, if you have any questions, email me. If anyone wants to come on to the podcast, email me, Robert@Breetly. Visit us, Breetly.com. Your all-in-one marketplace ally. I'll speak to you soon. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.